I think that's it. Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy Talk Williams, host and creator of Hip Hop 50th. I want to apologize out the gate. I am at a Starbucks. I'm set up right here, but there's some things going on at the apartment right now, so I just wanted to come out and jump on here live for a few. Let me check my sound real quick, make sure it's coming through okay. Okay, my sound is coming through good. Let me refresh this. But anyway, you see it in the title and the description. OpenAI, yeah, they have their own browser now. The name of that browser is Atlas. So I'm definitely going to touch on that. And then as always, or I'm quite sure anybody that follows me knows that I'm a regular when it comes to AI in jobs. And I just want to echo the sentiments and what's going on with Amazon in terms of fulfillment centers. Yeah, the future of the Amazon fulfillment centers. Let me check my sound again, guys. Hang on for a second. If you could hear me, you may not even be able to put it in the chat. Let me check to make sure I can hear myself. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It seems like it's coming through okay. Let me turn me up a little bit more. I know you hear some background noise in the back. Let me see if I can put a filter or something on the mic. Yeah, but I can't block that out. But anyway, what is going on? I know it's Sports Sunday for a lot of people. Y'all into y'all sports. You're doing your football thing, and that's great. I think it's great. I know if you do follow sports, you're well aware of some of the events that happened early this week with the feds cracking down and actually arresting head coach for the Portland Trail Blazers, Chauncey Billups, as well as active NBA player for the Miami Heat, Terry, I think it's Rozier or something like that, Rozier or something, and also an ex-assistant coach and Cleveland Cavaliers player, Damon Jones, and they were all part of this larger gambling ring or scheme where one of them was involved with just throwing games and the other one was involved in setting up people to play at a poker table, and they had no chance of winning. I mean, that's just outright robbery. That's just outright robbery. When people are colluding and conspiring and they exact some type of effort or scheme to get people or invite people to participate in anything like that, where you're sitting down at a table and you have no chance of winning, that shit is as criminal as it get. And I'm going to touch on that in a second, but yeah, it's been crazy, that whole thing. But let me play this little clip from ABC News where they're going to talk about OpenAI's ChatGPT compared to the competitor, but I do want to touch on Atlas. You know, they have this new browser, this new web browser, Atlas. So we're going to touch on that in a second. Hang on for a second. Here we go.
Welcome back to Fast Money. OpenAI announcing its new Atlas web browser powered by ChatGPT today. The platform directly competes with Google's Chrome and Perplexity's Comet. News of the launch sent shares of Google parent Alphabet down nearly 5% at its lows. Mackenzie Sagales has got more on this. Hey, Mac.
Hey, Mel. So this is all about OpenAI trying to take control of how we use the internet. Atlas is their new AI-powered browser where ChatGPT helps you interact with the web in real time. Not just answer questions, but plan trips, compare products, even draft email replies directly inside of Gmail. Now, for paid users, there's agent mode, where ChatGPT actually takes actions for you, opening tabs, clicking through sites, and completing multi-step tasks. The product lead for ChatGPT Search says the real power of Atlas is in memory. It gets more helpful the more that you use it. Now, this browser strategy also translates to more behavioral data for OpenAI, what users search, click, compare, and then ultimately abandon. And that could power better models and even enterprise products. Google had this advantage with Chrome. Now OpenAI wants that edge. So Atlas, it's really all about directly challenging Google on both Chrome and search. And while Perplexity hasn't made much of a dent in Google's dominance, OpenAI has massive user reach, 800 million weekly actives, in fact. And so if Atlas sticks, it threatens Google's lock-in and puts pressure on the ad model underneath it. Mel?
Well, we've got a news alert on OpenAI. Mackenzie Sagalos has that story. Mac.
Hey there, John. So OpenAI is announcing live right now that it is launching ChatGPT Atlas, an AI-powered web browser. Now, we've known that Sam Altman wanted to take on Google Chrome, and now he is. So OpenAI wants to be your front door to the internet, and if they own the browser, they can theoretically cut Google out entirely. This is OpenAI's first full browser product. In January, it debuted a browser-based agent called Operator, but that was just a demo. Atlas, it is standalone, and it's launching globally today on macOS, Windows, iOS, and Android coming soon. As designed, John, Atlas goes head-to-head with both Google and Perplexity, who are already battling it out for AI browser dominance. Earlier this month, Perplexity released its free Comet browser designed to...
And I know it sounds hard to believe, guys. There's like no way possible that Google can be replaced. Think about it. But if you go back, if you live a little longer, if you're over 40 or you're around 40, you remember before Google, nobody thought Yahoo would be replaced. Nobody thought Yahoo would have to take a second seat to a new browser, which became Google. And as Google has dominated #1 search browser in the world. The #2 search browser or search engine, put it this way, more technically, search engine, is YouTube. Yeah, this is just what it is. It's been a Google-dominated, unquestioned, they got it. And now, with AI, OpenAI coming out with Atlas. Now, coming out the gate, my initial impressions of this is that you're not going to get that right. You're not going to get that correct. You're not going to replace a Google your first time out. It's just not going to happen. It's different if you say with Yahoo and different technologies such as that Internet 1.0 or something like that, where they didn't adjust. They didn't come into, they didn't elevate. They didn't keep their head to the floor. They didn't make the changes. But Google has Gemini. Google has its own AI engine. And Google already has the data. They already have the customer base. They already have the searches. And of course, when it comes to ChatGPT, OpenAI, it's so many millions and millions and millions and millions of searches taking place there every day. But this idea of OpenAI targeting to replace that market, that total accessible market of searches with a browser, that is crazy. Now, they mentioned Perplexity. I don't know if you guys are up on Perplexity. Let me get that straight. But Perplexity was one of the earlier LLMs, large language models. And that's crazy for me to say earlier as if they've been out for years and years and years, right? No. When I say early, I mean within the last 18 months, 2 years. They were one of the first to come out and actually go out to the internet along with the searches. Because if you remember, these large language models, including ChatGPT, they did not search the internet. When we were prompting these large language models or these AI chatbots, we were only getting what was included in the black box that they was in. So the LLM, the large language model, no matter who it was, they had this like black box, and all of the data it was trained on was in there. And so when we did a search or we did a prompt, it was just giving us that feedback. That's why it had so many limitations. Sometimes you couldn't even get the time of the day it was because it wasn't trained to go out to the internet and give you the time of day. One of the unique value propositions that Perplexity was early on in exacting what some might call RAG now, which is retrieval augmented generative. So that RAG that they used was they went out to the internet and searched. And then they combined what they found out in the internet with what the prompt was or what the question was that we were putting in. And then they went into their LLM and kind of produced the answer from there. So that's why Perplexity, they were so unique in that because they were saying, okay, we're not just going to give you the response from our own LLM. We have the ability to go out and search the internet and come back with sources from there. So that's probably why they're mentioning both Google and Perplexity in the same light in terms of ChatGPT's browser Atlas becoming like new competition for them or something like that. But let me finish playing this and be quiet. Here we go.
Act like a personal assistant, search, shop, organize tabs, even draft emails. And of course, Google has been ramping up Gemini, integrating it directly into Chrome since September to help users navigate tabs, understand pages, and even schedule meetings. So these browser wars are officially back with AI at the center. Investors are paying attention. You got shares of Alphabet down 3% Tuesday on the news. And John, one thing I will say in terms of this extra functionality of the new browser, ChatGPT can stay on as a sidebar across the web. It's got personalized browser memory and agent capabilities. They can take actions on behalf of the user. And they also are offering a lot of integration with Google products in the demo, integrating it with your Gmail.
Well, this is interesting.
Wow. And
Welcome back
it
to
is.
Fast Money. OpenAI announcing its new Atlas web browser powered by.
So I'm going to jump over in a second, and then you can hear from the man himself, Sam Altman. Let's see what he says. Okay.
Good morning. Today, we're going to launch ChatGPT Atlas, our new web browser. This is an AI-powered web browser built around ChatGPT. It's something we've been super excited about and working hard on for a long time, and really excited to share with you today. We think that AI represents like a rare, once-a-decade opportunity to rethink what a browser can be about and how to use one and how to sort of most productively and pleasantly use the web. Tabs were great, but we haven't seen a lot of browser innovation since then, so we got very excited about the opportunity to really rethink what this could be. And in the same way that for the previous way people use the internet, the URL bar of a browser and the search box were a great analog, the way that we hope people will use the internet in the future, and that we're starting to see, is that the chat experience and a web browser can be a great analog. So we got to work designing a browser based around this kind of experience. The browser is already where a ton of work and sort of life happens. And we think that by having ChatGPT be sort of a core way to help you use that you can chat with a page, you can use ChatGPT to find stuff, you can use an agent mode with ChatGPT in a browser, way more stuff that we'll show you and you can try out later. We can take this pretty far. So we are excited to jump into a demo. Have some colleagues here. We'll start with Ben for introductions, and then we'll show you what we got.
Great, thanks, Sam. I'm Ben. I lead engineering for Atlas. So Atlas started with a question. What if you could chat with your browser? And from that idea, we reimagined the entire experience, replacing years of clutter and complexity with simple conversation. We wanted to make sure that Atlas didn't feel like your old browser, just with a chat button that was bolted on. But instead, we made ChatGPT the beating heart of Atlas. It's always by your side and ready to help as you move across the web. I find that when I use Atlas myself, I'm more curious. I ask more questions. I think it's made me, just like I said, a more curious, better informed person. We also made sure that Atlas is fast and flexible enough to support some amazing new experiences that we'll show you shortly. It's a new kind of browser for the next era of the web, and we can't wait to show you what it can do. So Adam, do you want to take us through some of the features?
Yes, my name is Adam, product lead for Atlas. And as Sam and Ben mentioned, a little bit about why we built Atlas. I'm going to share a little bit about what Atlas is. So first, Atlas should feel very familiar. So it has all of your tabs, bookmarks, autofill for password, all the things you're used to. And then there's 3 special core features of Atlas that Ryan's going to walk you through in a bit. The first is chat comes with you anywhere as you go on the web. So no longer do you have to copy and paste between tabs when you're working on writing an email or a document. As you have that website up, it'll just be right there for you if you invoke it, and it'll have context of what you're working on, so it can be more helpful. That's chat anywhere across the web. The second big feature is browser memory. And we talked a lot about this when we were building it, but memory is such a critical feature in ChatGPT that people and users love today. And that's because as you use ChatGPT more, it just gets more personalized and helps you better and understands you much better. Now that's going to happen as you go on your browser across the web in Atlas. And it just should be more personalized and more helpful to you. And then the third, which we're really excited about, and Justin's going to show this later, is Agent, which is in Atlas, ChatGPT now can take actions for you. It can do things. So it'll actually bring up a little cursor, start clicking around when you ask it to. It can help you book reservations or flights, or even just edit a document that you're working on. And we're really excited to share this with you. So Ryan, our lead designer on the project, is going to show you a tour of Atlas.
Thanks, Adam. All right, so I get to do the demo of the core flows in Atlas. What you should see here is your home screen. This is what you'll be presented with when you first download and open the app, or anytime you create a new tab. We tried to create an experience here that will feel totally familiar coming from a traditional browser, but with all the power of ChatGPT baked in. To that end, you'll see there's a composer in the center of the screen where you could ask Chat a question like normal. You can get to all of your tools, your models, and your sidebar with all of your chat history. So, but because it's a browser, you can do more. Type Hacker News, Chat's going to take me to the URL. I could reference a bookmark in human language, and it's going to open my commits for this Galaxy diff. You can use browser memory to search your web history for something that you know you've seen before, but you don't know exactly where it is. So let me say, search web history for a doc about Atlas core design. No, I made this somewhere. Searching your browser memories. And there you go. It looks like it found the doc I'm talking about. It's in my Google Docs. If I tap it, you'll see it'll open there. Let's jump back to the homepage for one final feature. So below the composer on Atlas, you'll see suggestions. These suggestions are kind of the first version of personalization in Atlas. It will be generated for you based on what Atlas understands about what you've been up to or might be trying to do next. They can be as simple as a news story it thinks you might be interested in, or as advanced as an agent task that's going to delegate through for you and kind of click through your tabs. The more you use Atlas, the better these suggestions get. And again, it's very much a V0 of personalization, but we're really excited to see where the homepage of the browser goes as we delve deeper onto this. Okay, so that's the home screen. Now I'm gonna hop over to that GitHub example and show you my personal favorite feature. So here I have some code I was working on this morning. It's a shader for a little Galaxy generator.
So I'm gonna let that play out a little bit. Again, this is actually OpenAI's website, and you're hearing from their engineers, their program managers, their developers, and shout out to Desi Leia or Desis Leia. Oh no, Desi Slayer. I apologize. Shout out to Desi Slayer 8790 because I pinned that message that they put. This is what people should be looking into. AI is here and all jobs are at risk. And to that point, I do want to share this, and I'll get back to this, but I do want to share this article that just came out about Amazon a couple days ago. And what they were talking about was Amazon's fulfillment centers. Now, I normally refer to it as Amazon warehouses. That's what I normally refer to it as. But they were actually talking about, they were actually at some type of event, the Amazon officials, some engineers, project managers, different things like that. And what they were speaking about was the new Amazon fulfillment centers that are coming. They actually have them, and they're just going to start rolling them out. Let me see if I can find it, because what they talk about is how Amazon is building robots so that they can eliminate three things. So when it comes to what are the robots going to replace, what is AI in the Amazon environment going to replace? Now, we typically know Amazon is a place that, hey, if you just needed a job, especially for young people that are in school or new graduates or people in between, maybe graduating from high school, working during the summer, and, you know, ideally playing with the thought of going to college, well, in between those semesters or seasons or summers, they could just get work at an Amazon fulfillment center. That's like a go-to place. You know, when I was coming up as a shorty, it was Procter & Gamble. It was some of these large corporations that had large centers where it was a lot of assembly line work. And now you have Amazon centers, you have call centers, you have different things like that. And it's been a go-to. It's been there, but that's gonna be changing like soon in the next 3 to 5 years. Those Amazon jobs, even though they're going to hire a lot this season for the Christmas, for the holidays or whatever, in the next 3 to 5 years, those Amazon jobs will not be there like that. They just won't. In fact, I apologize. Let me get the sound back up for this. But the three things, I didn't get around to it. The three things that Amazon aims to remove, they said are the menial, what did they say? The menial, the mundane, and the repetitive. Listen to what I'm saying. This is not me making this up. This is not my version of embellishment or hyperbole. The engineers, program managers, the project heads at this new event, like 48 hours ago, 3 days ago or so, they stated that the goal that they're trying to do with these robots and with AI is to remove the menial, M-E-N-I-A-L, the mundane, M-U-N-D-A-N-E, and the repetitive. Now, who do you think they are talking about? Who? Who is the mundane? Who is the menial? Who's performing menial tasks at some of these fulfillment centers? Who's performing mundane tasks? Who's performing repetitive tasks? The people, the actual people. But let's just take listen. Let me turn the sound back on for this video, and let's just take a listen. See, those jobs, they're just not going to be there anymore.
Deep dive into AI. Artificial intelligence growing at lightning speed. College grads and young workers wonder what the technology means for their careers. And according to a report from Wired, economists at Stanford University say they've found the strongest evidence yet that AI is starting to eliminate certain jobs. So it's a good time to bring in Will Knight, senior writer for Wired and author of the AI Lab newsletter. Okay, let's talk about this. Let's break this down. Tell us about this new research and what jobs AI will take.
Hi, yes, thanks for having me. So this report is really interesting. We often hear people say that certain jobs are going to be eliminated or there's going to be widespread unemployment, but actually there's been relatively little data to back that up. So this looked at payroll data for several years, ever since ChatGPT came online. And it shows that rather than specific types of jobs, it's particular categories of jobs and certain types of workers, mostly less experienced younger workers. So this makes sense because tools like ChatGPT can automate some of the simplest tasks, the kinds of things you might have like an intern or a junior person do in certain industries. So in places like coding or customer support, those are areas which are most sort of vulnerable to AI.
Let's talk about the good side of this, okay? It's not going to take all jobs. AI could actually create opportunities, and where might we see those?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's important to note that another thing that they found was in some cases, people saw, even in those industries, saw their job opportunities increase sometimes because there are new roles for people to oversee AI and make sure that it's not making mistakes. So then now, one of the things is we don't know how things are going to pan out in the future, but this does suggest that there may be new categories of work. And the economists behind this recommend that what we need to do is start to think about maybe.
So I'm just going to jump in here and again say, when you hear some of this, let's look at the other side of it. AI is going to create new jobs or new roles. Is that true? Literally, it's true. Like literally, it's true. But effectively, no. Listen to what I'm saying again. Is AI going to create new jobs and new roles? Absolutely yes. Resounding yes. If I had to take an exam and my earnings was based on it, I would check the yes box. But if they was to say effectively, it's a no. Why? Think about the concept of a casino. Think about casinos. I don't go to them, but I know so many people that do. I just, based on their stories. These casinos were designed for one thing, to take money. They weren't designed to create opportunities and roles and wealth for people. Their cornerstone, their theme, their thesis, their mantra is to take the money. Do people go in there and become rich? Of course they do. That's another checkbox. I'm gonna check, yeah. Effectively, do people go in there and become rich? Hell no. Is you crazy? Is you dumb or slow? What's Take your choice. Are you gullible? Okay, let's move over to AI. The design of AI, the design of robots, is not to increase the workforce. Are there going to be new roles? There's going to have to be new roles. You know why? Because you're not going to need middle management anymore. You're not going to need a whole slew of people. So, of course, there's going to be new roles. But when they're talking about new roles and new opportunities, it's such a small percentage of that that's going to take place. The majority of what's going to take place in terms of replacing human beings, if you think about something like bell curve, if you think about bell curve, a standard deviation, or some normal parabola, in between there is like 68%. In other words, bell curve kind of represents statistically 68% of things happening that they will happen. That's what AI is going to do. Overwhelmingly, it's just going to wipe people out of work. Now, that last 32% split in half, 16 or 17 on each side, whatever. Those are those new roles they're selling as a selling pitch. Those are those new opportunities they're selling as a selling pitch. AI is not here to increase the workforce. AI is here to minimize the workforce. Effectively, as you will see in this next clip I'll play, as the program manager or engineer or project leader out at a presentation showing off Amazon's new fulfillment center, it's designed to replace three things, he says: the menial, the mundane, and the repetitive. Now, you should treat it like church. You know, when the pastor talking, is that you? At your job, are you doing menial tasks? Meaning it didn't require any type of certification or high level of education or documented training for you to do what you do. They need it because it's just the nuances that happens in your work environment or your business, and so they need somebody that they need to pay to do the menial tasks. And it's typically a task that's not only associated with low educational or low documented schooling, but it's also associated with hazardous work environments, such as working outside in cold weather or inside near and around things that are hazardous or dangerous. And then, are you the mundane person? Meaning what you do is cool, we hired you for that, you are certified, but that shit is ordinary. There's nothing esoteric about what you're doing. You're doing some ordinary stuff. And then, are you the repetitive? See, these are things that you can put your own test to. You got your own litmus test. When they dip what you do into the liquid, when they wave it in the air, what word is going to pop up? Menial, mundane, or repetitive? That's the question. So let me jump to this where the guy says it himself. Listen to the guy from Amazon.
First of all, this event where you are, I mean, right now I just see a curtain, but I'm assuming there's lots of stuff happening.
In a minute or two, he's going to say, we're getting rid of the menial, the mundane, and the repetitive. Now, those are human beings he talks about.
At the event, who's there? What's going on? Tell us a little bit about it.
Yep. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. And I enjoyed our conversation as well. It's just great to be here. We are at our fourth Delivering the Future event here. And there's a bunch of press that we have here. And we made a couple of big announcements in robotics today.
Can you tell us about them?
The first is in our manipulation robot that we call Blue Jay. And what Blue Jay, the way that you can think of that is that you can take 3 assembly lines and put it in the same footprint of 1. What it does is help eliminate the menial, the mundane, and the repetitive. And it could pick more than 75% of the inventory that we actually sell in our sortable network, which is a really big deal. I'm really proud of that. And I'll also say there's just something interesting about Blue Jay as well, as compared to our other bird manipulation systems, Cardinal, Sparrow, and Robin. It took us about 3 years to kind of design, deploy, and get out to our frontline employees. We have actually done Blue Jay with the power of AI in just over a year. So it's really had accelerated the pace of innovation.
I think when a lot of people think about Amazon and robots, I just want to jump in because we don't have a ton of time, but we'll get to some of the other announcements. They think about the Kiva Systems robots, the big acquisition at the time, 2012. That was a big acquisition for Amazon, and they've seen pictures of the way that those can move large loads of things across warehouses. But if you were to go into a state-of-the-art Amazon warehouse today, what would you see that's in addition to those Kiva robots?
Yeah, in addition to the world's first goods-to-person fulfillment strategy, which was just a really good idea, where we have more than 1 million robots that we manufacture actually in Massachusetts doing that job every day, you're going to see more of the unstructured fields, right? So you're going to see green robot that we call Proteus that can move big cargoes of packages to the right dock at the right time. You're going to see many more manipulation systems that we have in there, eliminating kind of the repetitive motions that we have. No one wants to lift a 50-pound box all day. Robin does that. Cardinal does that, moving it into some of these Proteus-bound carts that we have. You're going to see much more collaborative robotics, right? So that's where we build our robotic systems to enable people, to augment what people are capable of. And we really believe in the philosophy of people and machines working together. How can we build a tool set that enables our employees to do their job not only more efficiently, but also with better safety in mind?
All right, so there's this robot
We start with another uncomfortable truth linked to AI. The possibility that this time it really is different. Different in what technological change is doing to recent college graduates trying to start their careers. There is no question that AI is here to stay. Just last month, we reported that Anthropic, a company that didn't exist 6 years ago, could be worth more than Nike or Starbucks.
Anthropic, 170 billion, XAI in talks for 200 billion, and I think there's nowhere to go but up.
And there's no question that at least some employees stand to make a great deal of money for their ride on the AI train.
Apple's top executive in charge of AI models is leaving for Meta Platforms.
I'm told this pay package is probably somewhere north of $200 million.
We have never seen anything like this before, and there's a lot we don't know about what it will do for business and the economy. But we do know that leaders of the world's largest and most powerful firms expect a tidal wave. They are preparing for it. And already, some people are feeling the effects on the ground right now. People not at the very top of the corporate ladder, but those trying to get a step on the bottom rung. This year, Jacob Ayub and Tiffany Lee are joining millions of their fellow college graduates trying to get their careers started.
This is just one of the case studies that I've done, but it's pretty representative of what you can expect if you're applying for any full-time role at a private equity company. Luckily, Boston College does a really good job of setting that financial background. We've done in-class DCFs, in-class LBOs.
Here's your iced matcha skim milk.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. I have a few case studies on my portfolio just showcasing the work that I've done at school for the companies and nonprofits that I've worked for. The last experience I have is another contract role with a startup that I did through a club at Cornell as well.
They have studied different subjects at different schools. Tiffany, Information Science and Psychology at Cornell, Jacob, Economics and Finance at Boston College. But the two graduates have a lot in common. They both got good grades, networked widely, and landed prestigious internships. Tiffany at Apple and Jacob at a boutique private equity firm. And for both, it has yet to add up to a job.
Since graduating college, I would say I've applied to around 200 jobs.
I would say I've applied to about 150, maybe more now.
Some of the interview processes consist of constructing models and valuations. Some of them are pitch decks.
I made it to the final round for one big tech company. Didn't end up getting it. I'm past round 2 for another one, and the other ones either haven't heard back or just ghosted. Yeah.
It's a story that's becoming more common, and it's being reflected in an unusual new trend in the economic data. As far back as the numbers go, the unemployment rate for recent college graduates has been below the rate for all U.S. workers. But over the past few years, unemployment among recent grads climbed above the rate for the broader population.
This is essentially the first time on an ongoing basis that this has occurred in the 45 plus years that we have data going back to.
Matthew Martin is a senior economist at Oxford Economics.
So really this is pointing towards a lot of people who have that higher educational attainment are actually worse off than many of their peers who have lower educational attainment. That's an interesting dynamic to have in a market where you're told you go to college, you work hard, you'll have a job after graduation. And unfortunately for many at the moment, that's just not happening.
Recent college grads may be having a harder time right now finding their first job, but it depends in part on what kind of job they're seeking. Entry-level jobs in the areas Tiffany and Jacob want, tech and finance respectively, turn out to be particularly hard to find.
A lot of my peers who were in years advanced from me and trying to give me insights on how the process worked, all either had internships or were in the process of getting them or had full-time offers. And these are sometimes people that are just juniors who have a full-time offer at a bank or a different firm. And I think with my graduation class, there's been a pretty drastic change. I'd say about 50% of my graduating class is unemployed.
I see a lot of job descriptions that are asking for 2 years of experience or 3 years of experience. And in design specifically, it's been pretty hard. I think it's just a very saturated field, and there's a lot of talent out there.
Tech is one of those that has been really slowed down, and a lot of that comes down to the hiring boom that they did post-pandemic and them looking to right size. You also have other mathematical occupations in finance, legal. Some of these, again, have been in high demand over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I know y'all didn't enjoy me talking to myself, but let me just throw this at you, okay? Oh, here we go. It's a different type of challenge now, because if you have people who are already in the workplace, they're the knowledge workers. They handle some of the lower level or mid-range tasks that involves automation, dealing with computer systems, different things like that. Now, these people weren't typically involved in tech support. They weren't typically involved in design. They weren't typically involved in any type of programming or coding or different things like that. But now, with the onslaught of AI, with the tools available, you can take the person now that was good at Excel in the accounting department and just train them to some of the tools. Yeah, you don't need that genius. You don't need somebody with a 160 IQ to use a tool that's already in place. Maybe you need that person if the tool doesn't exist. You need that person to be on the team if you're creating the tools, if you're creating the large language models, if you're creating the algorithms. But in terms of accounting positions, and you got somebody that knows that particular ERP system or that accounting system that they use, they just know it like that. They've been there 20 years, they've been there 10 years, they've been there 5 years, or somebody new coming in. It really won't matter as much. Why? Because we can take somebody that understands not only what we do, but the nuances and train them on the tool. And guess what? If code is needed, we'll train them on some Python. Yeah, people that can already do the Excel spreadsheets and all of the accounting stuff, and they've been using it, they're not going to be too far away in terms of a learning code, of learning how to write small scripts and different things like that. They're not. They can be trained on that. So you don't have to bring somebody in at $100,000 or $120,000 a year just to maintain and roll out scripts for particular things. Because now people can meet on it. They can come together and use the tool and then come up with an idea and then make a decision. Do we outsource this and just get a contractor to build it, or some company, or is this something that we can work on because we're already doing what we do? We already have a process in place. It gives us time to work and learn and build this out and roll it out into the environment. So you don't need all these crazy smart people anymore. So those opportunities are not going to be there. You can take somebody that's already doing PowerPoint, that was already good at the presentation, and give them access to some of these other tools that are out there to augment, to make better, to improve their proficiency. That's why I say when people say it's a cognitive offload, that's a misnomer. It is for some, but not so much in the workforce, not so much in corporate America, not so much for the knowledge worker who earns their keep through a company, their own business, or through some clients or whatever like that. And the reason why is this. If you think you can just sit in front of ChatGPT, if you think you can just sit in front of Google's Gemini or Anthropic's code, and don't know nothing about the domain or the profession or the space you're talking about, and just conjure up something and say, hey, I made an app. Hey, I made a website. Hey, I made a something. Hey, I made a something. You are mistaken. You are mistaken. That shit sounds wonderful in your fucking house with people who love you, but they not paying you. That shit sounds slick at a coffee shop with people high off of that fucking caffeine, but they not your clients. That shit sounds slick at church because everybody gonna tell you God done opened up your mind. But they're not delivering those valuables. You have to look at that. So what happens next? You gotta know something about what you're doing. That's why the only people in corporate America and the people that's working somewhere and the people that got their own business, that's empowered, that's augmenting, making better, to augment, is to improve and make better, to work with, to get it to another level, are people who already have experience and knowledge in that space. That shit is the bomb to us because you just can't take what it says. We know when it's saying something wrong. We can check it so we can contextualize the prompting. We know how to create a agentic AI where the agent can perform tasks. But if you go and create an agentic AI for an agent to perform tasks at your job and you don't know what you really do, your ass getting fired. All right, let me be quiet and play another one. Here go Jamie Dimon. It's Jamie Dimon. Yeah, Jamie Dimon.
Decade, billions of dollars invested across the business. When it comes to AI, which parts of the JP Morgan business are going to be most transformed by AI?
Yeah, so we've been doing AI since 2012. So people think it's like a new thing. Gen AI is kind of new, but not all of AI. We have 2,000 people doing it. Spend $2 billion a year on it. It affects everything: risk, fraud, marketing, idea generation, customer service, and it's kind of the tip of the iceberg. And so we're deploying it. Every time we meet as a business, we ask, what are you doing in AI? What are you doing to serve your people? Why can you do better? What is somebody else doing? So we're freely deploying it and safely. We have a lot of rules and regulations in place about our own data and how we use it, et cetera.
Is it having a material impact on revenues for JP Morgan? If not now, then when?
So we have shown that for $2 billion of expense, we have about $2 billion of benefit. Some we actually can do real detail. We did this, we reduced headcount, we saved this time and money, we reduced errors. Some you can't. It's just improved service, something like that. It's like almost worthless to say what's the NPV, but we know about $2 billion of actual cost saves. And like I said, I think it's the tip of the iceberg. We're getting better and better at it. We know how to do it. As the managers learn how to do it, they're asking more questions. Why can't it do X and why can't it do Y? And then I don't have my phone here, we have a suite, an LLM suite on internal data to do research and summarize reports and scan contracts and do things like that. 150,000 people a week use it. So it's quite productive.
More and more of your employees are using the agentic AI across
our
JP.
own LLM, and agentic is just starting. But that will be deployed over time too. But it's also being used for coding. I mean, it's being used quite broadly now, and like I said, part of it is getting your mind working around how you're going to use this thing, and so our managers and leaders have to do it.
If you look out 5 years, are there more jobs in banking as a result of AI or fewer?
I think people shouldn't put their head in the sand. It is going to affect jobs.
Thank you. I'm so glad he said that. Jamie Dimon, who runs Chase Bank, JP Morgan, he says, I don't think people should put their head in the sand. It's going to affect jobs. Now, of course, what he's going to say next is new roles are going to be created, new positions, different types of training. People are going to learn how to manage the robots. People are going to have robots as their assistants and all of that stuff. Sure. In a minimalistic way, that's going to be great for those people. But effectively, AFFECTI and the rest with the Y at the end. It's a no. You're gone. Remember, ask yourself this question. Why is AI created? Why are the robots being rolled out? Oh, so we can bring more people to work. No. What you're going to hear about soon, what I'm thinking, and I'm just acting like some form of human AI prediction, right? You're going to hear about unions and labor reps, and they're going to write into the contract at these companies now that a certain percentage of the work, no matter what the level is, has to be conducted and done by human beings. And that if these human beings will be replaced by the automation or robot, then there needs to be some type of payout, some increase on their pension or something. I can't make it up because I don't know what the wording is. But it's just going to happen. It has to happen. It's almost like if you think about real estate, right? They come into a poor neighborhood, they build these condos out, people are displaced, it's regentrification, is whatever. And so the city or the town or the state, they say, look, those condos are wonderful. 10% or 15% have to go to low income housing. 10% has to be affordable, be eligible for Section 8, so we can just put people in there and different things like that. Something similar to that, something akin to that has to take place, because if not, you're going to have entire industries and businesses ran by automation. There's going to be two proud people working there, so proud that they were selected and trained and they know how to run it. But we're not talking about them as individuals. We're talking about on a macro level, your kids, your grandkids. Yesterday's entry level ain't today's entry level. They don't, the person that's entry level today gotta be different than the person that was entry level yesterday because of what's coming. And part of this pause, I think, I don't know, but part of this pause, which is multi-dynamic, is several reasons behind this, of the hiring is they're gonna give AI a shot. They're gonna try to see what is it that we really need? What can we get by with? What can we do without that human? Remember, the goal as the project leader demonstrating and showing off the new Amazon Fulfillment Center at some symposium or event, international event, the goal is to get rid of the menial, the mundane, and the repetitive. Let me let Jamie Foxx finish saying what he knows versus what I think.
So think of every application, every service you do, well, you'll be using AI, some to enhance it, some of it'll be you doing the same job, you're doing a better job at it. There will be jobs that it eliminates. But you're better off being way ahead of the curve and retraining people. So we retrain and redeploy a lot of people. So for JP Morgan, if we're successful, we'll have more jobs. But there'll probably be less jobs in certain functions.
When you look at the spend on AI, infrastructure, chips, OpenAI, it's not making a profit. Loss-making, deals of about $1 trillion this year. The hyperscalers, the spend there. What is your reaction when you see those numbers crossing? Are you comfortable with that kind of spend on the infrastructure around AI?
It's a lot. I'm not sure it's all ever going to be totally spent. I think when you look at big tech, like tech that happens like this, and you go look at cars, you look at...
Let's do a deep dive into AI. Artificial intelligence.
Some AI chip names weighing down the Nas today as the market digests Marvell, Dell, and NVIDIA's earnings results from earlier in the week. And the Gen AI...
I had a little moment there where I was talking about Amazon planning to avoid hiring 600,000 U.S. workers by the year 2033. I was upset about it. I want to bring in Darren Kimura, who is the CEO and president of AI Squared. He first began his career as a founder, and he's president and CEO and building and exiting 2 technology companies. He's done a lot in his career. Darren, we want to thank you so much for your time and coming on with us today.
Oh, Tia, it's my absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So I was talking to someone else about this. It got me a little fired up when I saw how many U.S. workers may not have employment because of these robots. When it comes to the manufacturing sector and warehousing and deskless roles, that's a hard one to say, should we be concerned as humans that these robots are going to take all of these jobs? Is this a concern that we should have?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I would say, yes, it's a concern, but I think there's a lot of details that go under some of the statistics and the headlines. So for example, let's kind of start with the Amazon 600,000 jobs report. So if you kind of read into that, what they're talking about is Amazon has, based upon its current growth, the expectation to double its sales in the next 10 years. And based upon the amount of people that they have working in these factories today, they have an estimated amount of jobs that it would effectively have. Now, they're also deploying more and more robots, more and more artificial intelligence and additional technologies. And in doing so, they're able to reduce, a percentage of those jobs. So that 600,000 job number is actually not jobs that will be fired from the current Amazon workforce. It's actually jobs that will not need to be hired in the future. So that's one thing to think about there. And I guess one more thing I guess I would mention there is also when those jobs are not hired in those areas where the robots are doing the work, there are other jobs that are being created. And that's what we've seen over time, and what also I expect to happen here when this gets fully deployed.
Darren, we hear a lot from people in the AI space saying, hey, don't be scared of AI, learn AI, make sure that you're equipped for the changes that will happen within the workforce. I see something here you have in your write-up, you have upskill. Talk about upskilling and really what that means and what workers right now can do to prepare for this new wave of technology.
So first of all, I 100% believe that this is an opportunity for every single one of us to get a little bit smarter, a little bit more knowledgeable. I, for example, have chosen to go back to school and do a PhD in artificial intelligence because I recognize that this is a new field. It's based upon technologies and techniques that we had before, but not one that I was really that comfortable in. And I wanted to learn a lot more about it. So even I chose to go back and become upskilled. And that could mean a variety of different things. So in the case of robots, for example, which, Amazon already has over 1 million robots in their factories, that could be things like understanding on how to repair robots or how to program robots or how to make sure that they're operating efficiently, how to manage some of these AI technologies, these workflows, as we call them, all the way down to how do we build AI? Humans can bring in a variety of different elements that are not inherent upon AI today. For example, safety, security, ethics. And I think this is also inherently human. So this is something we have within us. Understanding how the technology works allows us to then bring our knowledge and our abilities to make sure that the technologies of tomorrow are going to be safer and better.
I like what you said there, even about your learning curve and how you...
Yeah, let me touch on a comment that was just put in the chat by Desi Slayer 8790, and Desi Slayer says that they drove anonymous semi-trucks in Utah on roadways that have almost no local traffic and have a massive success rate. Now they are selling it in high populated areas. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. Think about truck drivers, okay? Think about, this is what my inference. This is not what I know, but this is based on what I think and some of what I know. This is what my inference tells me about the future of truck drivers. So, as we know, over 100 years, decades, generations, truck drivers, they go out on the road. Some of them drive thousands of miles, if not a day, at least a week or whatever, and they travel across the countries, the highways and the byways, okay? Desi Slayer is absolutely correct, because here's what's going to happen, and it's already in motion. They're going to use these desolate roads. They're just the training areas. They the areas where you basically is getting trained on the road, on the job training. Once they have that locked down, all they got to do is come in with the money. And once they figure out how the driverless thing is going to work, you won't have over-the-road drivers as we know it today. You will have truck drivers that will report at these weight stations or some of these where they gas up at, or truck stations. As we pass them on the highway when we're traveling, it'd be rest stops, trucks there, it'd be weight stations, it'd be just rest stops, different places like that. That's the future of where truck drivers will report to daily. What do I mean by that? The truck gonna drive his damn self over those hundreds and thousands of miles. It's gonna do the bulk of that linear driving itself. It's gonna do it. If they gotta come in and build out that highway or take that left express lane, as we all commonly used to now, that left lane on the highway, there's no law that says that left lane itself can't be used for something else. They're just going to build another lane or take that lane. And the only cars that can be able to be driven there is autonomous driving. That's it. That's where those trucks are going to drive. They're going to drive the 500 miles, the 600 miles there. And then when they get to one of these places where the trucks can rest and the weight stations or just the rest stops, That's where the truck drivers will gather, and they'll take over, and then they will take the truck and drive it into the municipalities and the localities and the cities and do all that backing up and moving and all of that. It's just that simple. That's what's going to happen. That's why, if you think about it, I don't know if I let it play as long as I should have. One of the things that their project manager was saying when he was demonstrating, he was talking about the Amazon new fulfillment warehouses or fulfillment centers. He was saying that the Amazon truck drivers are going to be required in the near future to wear the glasses. Now, why do you think all of a sudden Amazon truck drivers need to be wearing these glasses, these VM glasses? Why do you think that? They can already see. I haven't heard anything about Amazon truck drivers getting in a preponderance amount of accidents or running over people. Has it happened? Yeah, but on a very low level. So there's nothing outstanding where the public or legislation or anybody's demanding that, oh, they need better glasses. No, that's not it. The reason why they're going to have the Amazon drivers, one of the reasons, not the only reason, but the primary reason to me, the reason why they're going to have these Amazon drivers wear these glasses that look like those Google smart glasses with the computer program in them and different things like that, the reason why that they're going to have that is this. The driver is essentially training the AI model, because every movement is going back to the LLM. Every movement is going to be part of a new algorithm. That driver, with all of that nuance moving, bending down to pick up a phone when you drop it, drinking your coffee, looking out the window, looking in the rear view mirror, looking in the side mirrors, all those nuances, it's impossible right now to train the robots on that. It's just impossible. The only way that they can gather enough usable data, credible data, in an organic way to train the robot to move like that is to make the drivers of Amazon wear the fucking glasses. That's right. And they're going to be collecting all of the motion. The number one thing that they're trying to collect is the motion. And once they can collect all those millions of nuances, depending on your shape and your height and what you see and what you look at, whether it be a fine-ass woman walking across in front of your vehicle at a stoplight, or a pet running across, or you turning your head because you hear a sound of a siren, or you slowing, every potential nuance you could think of that requires any motion of the head, that's the information it's going to be collecting. Not, I'm going to show you where the street at better than you can see where the street at. You've been driving down that street for years delivering packages. Ain't nobody complained. Ain't nobody said nothing. You ain't got a ticket. The police ain't pulled you over. What you need some advanced glasses on for to see that street in a different way. You can't see it in a different way. So why do they need you to wear the glasses? So they can collect all of the motion. Everything. Let me let her finish. I like this lady because she does ask some hard questions, or some relevant questions.
Went and learned this. Where do people start? Where do you suggest people that are in the workforce right now, maybe all they know is ChatGPT, right? Maybe that's as far as their knowledge goes. Where do you think they can go to learn more? Are we talking about a community college course? Where can you go to learn more about AI?
I think people will want to learn it in different ways. So learn it in the most effective way for you. It could even be as basic as watching TikTok shorts on AI and what is AI and how to code AI and what are agents, and those as basic as that, or watching YouTube tutorials and how-tos on that. Start there. That's easy to consume. You're already doing it. Maybe just shift some of your time from whatever the latest fad is into learning. I think it can start as basic as that and work its way all the way up to things like you mentioned, community college, for example. It could be virtual learning. There's probably no shortage of 10 or 12 courses I've taken online for free on Coursera that are available to anyone and everyone, offered by Stanford and MIT